objective of this animated video is to learn about queue and data structure and different type of queue that are simple queue, circular queue, priority queue, and double-ended queue deck. Queue: a collection whose elements are added at one end, the rear or tail of the queue, and removed from the other end, the front or head of the queue. A queue is a FIFO, first in first out, data structure. Any waiting line is a queue, the checkout line. This animation image is an example queue here. New element is added to the rear end of the queue and element is removed from the front of the queue. There are 4 different types of queue that are listed as follows: simple queue, circular queue, priority queue, double-ended queue deck. A simple queue is the most basic queue. In this queue, the in-queue operation takes place at the rear, while the dequeue operation takes place at the front. This is an example of linear queue. Here, initially rear and front is set to -1, then values 5, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9 is added in the rear and removed from the front end. Major drawback of using a linear queue is that insertion is done only from the rear end. If the first 3 elements are deleted from the queue, we cannot insert more elements even though the space is available in a linear queue. In this case, the linear queue shows the overflow condition as the rear is pointing to the last element of the queue. In a circular queue, the last node is connected to the first node. Circular queue is also called as ring buffer. Insertion in a circular queue happens at the rear and deletion at the front of the queue. This queue permits better memory utilization than a simple queue. When the queue has a fixed size, if the last position is full, and the first position is empty, we can insert an element in the first position that is not possible in simple queue. A priority queue is a special kind of queue in which each item has a predefined priority of service. In this queue, the in-queue operation takes place at the rear in the order of arrival of the items, while the dequeue operation takes place at the front based on the priority of the items. Here, 9 has the highest priority and then 6. And respectively up to 2, if 9 is dequeued then 6 set to front. In the case, when 2 or more items have the same priority, then they'll be dequeued in the order of their arrival. Hence, it may or may not strictly follow the FIFO rule. In deck or double-ended queue, insertion and deletion can be done from both ends of the queue, either from the front or rear. It means that we can insert and delete elements from both front and rear ends of the queue. Here we want to insert 1 and 9, first 1 is in-queued in the front end, then 9 is in-queued in front, and if we remove these values first 9 is removed, then 1 is set to front, and 1 is removed. If we in-queue or dequeue at the rear end is same like this. Double-end queue can be used both as stack and queue as it allows the insertion and deletion operations on both ends. Deck can be considered as stack because stack follows the LIFO, last in first out, principle, in which insertion and deletion both can be performed only from one end. And in deck, it is possible to perform both insertion and deletion from one end, and deck does not follow the FIFO principle. I hope all viewers have understood the topic covered in the video. And thank you for all my viewers.